Hello. How's it going? Wow. I just took a bath, and I tell you what, I am pretty on fire. Like, frontal whole lobe. Like, my whole lobe is vibrating, like, intensely. And I'm pretty sure I busted a blood vessel. When I was in the bath, I was doing like a lot of movement and like stretching, and I did a meditation that was fucking dope. And I got into that zero back out of your body space. I want to live there my entire life. Is that weird? Maybe. But it is delicious. It's so delicious. Hello, fan. Why is it too late? What are we too late for? I don't think we're ever too late. And two is spelt with two O's. If you're using it as also. Bye. I do want to read this. This is not going to be the bestest view. But so this book got ruined it tried to get ruined in the flood. Look at it. But I saved it because this book is way too golden knowledge to drop it. Way. Seriously, when I say way, I mean way. Like, what are we even doing here? What are we even doing here? Okay, we're going to read one that's called The Voice of History. He'll be history. I've had Disney movies on my mind today for some reason. I ate some pumpkin seeds a minute ago, so I might be chewing pumpkin seeds. I apologize. Okay, The Voice of History. The heathen make much ado, and the kingdoms are moved. But God hath showed his voice, and the earth shall melt away. So this is a really old book. Look how old this book is. It's called Silence and Voices of God. Shut up. How amazing is that name? Silence and the Voices of God. God. So far, my brethren, I have endeavored to engrave yet more deeply upon our hearts the all-pervading and unalterable conviction that God, our God, isn't that funny that I was like, whoa? Anyways, that God, our Father, our Creator, is a living God, that he is not far from every one of us, that his will is the sole intelligible law of our lives, that if at any time he seems to be silent, that silence is not in him, but in our own deafness and self-will. Hi, Bonkaroo. That if our life be true life at all, in him we live and move and have our being. It is a truth of infinite importance, because with it I know of nothing so glorious, without it of nothing so despicable and significant as man. Hello, Uncle. Hello, Shrip. Hare Krishna. Yes. Hare, 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 Hare. I agree with you. I love it. Let's see. Okay, ready? What is man? Asks David in the 8th Psalm. After he had been gazing on the heavens, which broke over his head into their immeasurable depth of stars. Think about that. Every single one of us is going to have a different experience when we meet Source again. Well, when we remember that it's here always. We just don't have the eyes to see right now, but some do, and we all are, and we're getting there. That's what happened to David. That's what happened to me the other day at the river, remember? I'm excited. And probably lots of y'all too. So I ain't special. Okay. Stars. And because he feels that he who made those heavens in his Father, oh, sorry, let's read that again. And because he feels that he who made those heavens is his Father and his friend, he answers in a burst of exaltation, Thou madest him a little lower than God, thou crownedest him with the glory and honor. But when, in some flushed moment of victory, David again asks in the 144th Psalm, What is man? Then, in the midst of human malignity and human meanness, thinking only of man without God, he sorrowful answers, Man is like a thing of naught. Hello, I believe blue bees exist for sure. Hi, Frasier. Sorry. And immediately afterwards, as though in a burst of incontrollable disgust at the crew of liars and blasphemers by whom he is surrounded, he cries, Cast out thy lightnings and tear them. Shoot forth thine arrows and consume them. Feeling as all the best men have ever felt, that when God is with us, we may rejoice in the glories of our birth and state. But that man, when he forgets, man, when he loses, much more man, when he abnegates his God, is a creature so petty, so foolish, so ephemeral, so infinitely to be pitied, that unless his whole race can be purified, listen to this. Hi, Patricia. No, I'm not reading the Bible. I'm reading this really cool ancient book called Silence and Voices of God. It's quite interesting, actually. I really like the older knowledge, because the new stuff is tainted like a son of a gun. Of course, the old stuff is too, but at least it's closer, if you think. Hello, Mikey. Yes, always love and abundance because it is my birthright, my dear, as you and you and you and you and you and you and you. Feeling as all the best men have ever felt, that when God is with us, we may rejoice in the glories of our birth and state, like we was just talking about, right, Mikey? But the man, when he forgets, man, when he loses his God, is a creature so petty, so foolish, so ephemeral, so infinitely to be pitied, that unless his whole race can be purified by baptisms, apologies for that movement, baptisms of fire, which is what we're going through right now, the chaos. Doesn't it make sense, you guys? The solar flares, we're going through the baptism of fire. Who's with you in this baptism? You aren't alone. No, you aren't alone. It were almost better that it should cease to be. If then we would rise to the full grandeur of our being, hold on, I got an itchy. If then, through the fire, we would rise to the full grandeur of our being, if we would live worthy of our immortality, right? Embracing the ups and downs. Thank you, Mikey. Same to you. EC, that's what I'm talking about, bro. If then we would rise to the full grandeur of our being, ascension, if we would live worthy of our immortality, we're going to be here forever, y'all. Let us bend our sternest efforts. Let us strain our noblest faculties. Let us absorb our entire beings in this one aim, to see God's face, to hear his voice, to do his will. And since we have considered how he speaks to us in nature, which is the translucence of his energy, I told you this book was epic, right? In the moral law, which is the epitome of his will, in conscience, which is the voice of his spirit, in scripture, which is the revelation, what's a revelation? The unfolding of, learning the truth, that's the revelation. And it says this in the regular Bible too. So his revelation of his son. Let us try today to mark how he speaks to us also in history, which is the conscience of the human race, and which has never been more adequately described than as the prophetical interpreter of that most sacred epic of which God is the poet and humanity is the theme. I can't. This book, y'all. That works for me, funny. I dig it. Yeah, it's kind of a bad position too. And I just took a bath, so, but I do look like this all the time. Hi, Mr. Boy. We're watching you. Hi, Cherry. How's it going? Okay, you ready? If, my brethren, man were the abject thing to which modern materialism would degrade him. Hold on. You can't come in here if you're freaking out crying. What's going on? Wait a minute. No, you don't have to leave. Talk. Do you want to talk? No. Okay, well, take some space. Put on your jammies. It's because my husband is very low vibration right now. And he won't do anything to change it. It's weird. Exactly, funny. Exactly. Okay. If my brethren, hold on. If, I got to remember the apostrophe, the commas, not the apostrophes, the commas. If, my brethren, man were the object thing to which modern materialism would degrade him, history would have no significance. It would be but like a lamp hung at a ship's stern as she is driven by chance winds over a shoreless sea. Warning of no peril, lighting to no anchorage, only flinging its ghastly luster over a white wake of wandering foam. Isn't it beautiful sounding? Listen to this. But when we believe, as we do believe, that man is a member of Christ, a child of God, an inheritor of the kingdom of heaven, then indeed the history of man becomes a noble study. It becomes a chapter in that book of Revelation which enables us to recognize in the ways of God an order at once immutable, and divine. He who can believe that the story of nations is but a confusion of whirling machinery which no spirit permeates or guides must indeed despise it as an old almanac.
Mom, do you know what I'm mad?
What are you mad for?
Because my art teacher said I was making this flower on plastic, a big one, like the size.
Okay, hold on. I need you to breathe real quick. Right? Because I need to be able to understand what you're saying, but I need you to just bring it down a notch. Okay. So you were making a flower, a big plastic one.
Yeah.
And your art teacher.
Yeah, I made a flower. I made a flower like the size of the paper.
Mm-hmm.
It was like this big.
Okay. That's pretty big.
This long.
Okay.
But I made. My teacher said at the end of the day he would bring it back small and turn.
Oh, you played Shrinky Dinks?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Shrinky Dinks.
Yeah, but her said her would bring it back, but her never did.
Oh, darn. I bet you she brings it tomorrow. I don't think it's something to cry about.
At the end of the day.
I don't think it's something to cry about, puppy. I think you'll get it tomorrow. You are Sometimes life happens. People get busy. Do you need to breathe again? Breathe. I can't hear you.
Thirsty.
Put on your jammies too while you're over there. Kids, I tell you what. Hi, Gabe. I don't know who Elaine Warnos is. He is. That's why I'm like, bro, calm it down. Pump those brakes. You guys mullet. Took a bath. Let's see. Okay, ready? Go. Hear his voice today, translucent. Nature, law, his son, sacred epic. Okay. It would be like a lamp. Oh, lustering. I'm already on this page. Okay, noble study. It becomes a chapter in the book of Revelation, which enables us to recognize in the ways of God an order at once immutable and divine. He who can believe that the story of nations is but a confusion of whirling machinery which no spirit permeates or guides must indeed despise it as an old almanac or an agreed on fable. But in this respect, the ancient histories were more religious than many of the modern. There's a bunch of Greek letters and I don't know what it says, but from the mighty Iliad down to the fine remark of Polybius that history offers the highest of education and that it alone, without injury, teaches us from every season and every circumstance to be true judges of what is best. It makes sense on the programming. Oh, I like Jim Carrey. All righty then. Too funny. Let's see. One great historian, indeed, of antiquity is doubtful and gloomy. I can come, he says, to no certain conclusion as to whether the affairs of men are guided by the immutable law of destiny or by the whirling wheel of chance. Ain't that the truth, y'all? And yet it is evident that the whole leaning of Tacitus was That's true, funny. That seems kind of like a cheat, right? Like that's not right. Towards the nobler faith. And if he seems to waver, it is only because he's confined his view to too limited a range. Listen to that. Fallen on very evil times, encircled like our own great poet with the barbarous dissonance of an abominable age, gazing only on the sunset of Roman liberty as its orb sank slowly into the seas of blood, he judged of man's destiny rather as a biographer than as a historian. But a biographer may easily mistake the middle for the end and fail to see that the apparent discord in the organ music is not and cannot be its close. See, there's faith, there's hope. Can you please, your energy is extreme. I don't need to see your water. You are the one thirsty, buddy. That's your water. Gotta set those boundaries, bro. I am reading this amazing book called The Silence and the Voices of God. That's good, Foxbox. I support that. Really? How could history judge you? The present can judge you because of the history, but I don't see how a history could judge you. Jackson? No, thank you. Okay, let's see. But a biographer may easily mistake the middle for the end and fail to see that the apparent discord in the organ music is not and cannot be its close. We read the lives of the saints of God, and we are perplexed at first and saddened to observe how one after another may seem to have perished, broken-hearted, and despised. It's a good thing I meditate a lot because I'm really, really learning to stay centered. Look at my Buddha over there. You see him? He's glowing. Oh, Buddha, Buddha. I don't know. I do, unknown. I do. Hey, barely legal is legal. So what are we doing here? Don't come in my room like that. Remove. Go out. My room is an extremely zen place. So if you're going to be zen, puppy, you can stay in here. But otherwise, you got to go.
Why?
One may be slowly torn to pieces like Fra Dolcino, and another may be tortured and strangled like Savonarola. And another burnt like Huss, and another driven to say with the undaunted Hildebrand, I have loved righteousness and hated iniquity, and therefore I die in exile. I've been killed lots of times too. Hi, Zizi. I support you, Fox. And another may faint to death in chilling anguish like Xavier upon the lonely shore. Nope, take your stuff and go. Take your stuff and go. Because I told you you're not going to do that. You're not going to go out there and razzle with your sisters and then come back here and jump all over.
Go in my room.
Okay, take your stuff then. I love you. I'm glad you remembered your water.
What does this say?
Jackson.
Right here.
Cam. Is that your middle name?
No.
Oh. What is it?
I don't know.
You don't know. Love you.
Last name?
Yeah. See you later, alligator. But let us not also fail to notice that one and all, amid defeat and dishonor and desertion, they never lose the beatific vision and the transcendent hope. One and all, they stretch forth their hands in glorious anticipation of the farther shore. Let us neither be deceived nor saddened by such books as that great recent work of fiction which shows to us the hopeless failure of so many human ideals and the chilling sadness of so many human lives. True that the loftier the ideal, the more complete may seem to be the failure, and the more unselfish and purpose, the more sad the life. In seeming, not in reality. Each high ideal is a prophecy which later, if not sooner, brings about its own fulfillment. No good deed dies, be it a rejoicing river, be it but a tiny rill of human nobleness. Yet, so it be pure and clean, never has it been lost in the poisonous marshes or choked in the muddy sands.
Love you, Mama.
I love you too, baby.
Did you see me on your live?
No.
I love Blake's.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I was like, hey, Mommy, I love you.
I know.
And then Brenda started watching your live too.
Cute. Loved righteousness and hate. Bernie was pretty cool. I think Bernie could have done great things, but I don't think we were ready for Bernie yet. And also, I kind of didn't like a couple things that he rolled with, but I mean, you're not going to like everything that somebody goes for, but you can kind of find like a person that can kind of, you just get their vibe, right? If their frequency is high, then they're not going to do shady things regardless. But we have people doing shady things because their frequency is low. Why do we put up with this? It's weird. We, the people, are the rulers. Anyways, enough of that. I do not use concealer. Sam, my dear, Transcendent hope and glorious anticipation is what I do on paycheck days. That's funny. It flows inevitably into that great river of the water of life, which is not lost, save if that be to be lost, in the infinite ocean of God's eternal love. Yes?
This is feeling like my house now.
It is your
Because
house,
right when I
baby.
put the clothes away, like a whole pile, and I'm like, oh wait, this is what I used to do at the other house. Oh, this is my house now.
Boing!
Mama.
I know, and once we
Now
get
I'm
your
going to bed.
room cleaned up, it'll be perfect.
Love you.
I love you. And it is their intuition of this truth which makes the idols of our great poet truer than the fictions of our great novelist. The blameless king murmurs, oh, are they talking about David? I think they're talking about David. The blameless king murmurs indeed, and amid the broken soliloquies of his last troubled night. Meow. Plasma. Yet he never doubts of his mission or wavers in his purpose. The harp that has been prostituted and jangled on earth shines still among the stars. And to the greatly innocent and to the sincerely penitent and to the angels up in heaven, its music is still undisturbed. Right. My kids are hilarious. Obnoxious too. I have 7. I've done this for a while. And so, as the king dies deeply wounded on the misty shore, yet the bark which carried him vanishes away into the light, and the new sun rose, beginning the new year. And this is the true and eternal lesson. Ask all good men who have ever died, even in the bitterest failure, whether they would not scorn either. Hey, Emmeline, you have a mess. Did you clean up your plates? No, I'm talking to you. Did you clean up your plates in the living room? Yeah. You did? Did you wash them too? Yeah. Are you sure?
I was more in the kitchen when I was washing my dish.
Good girl. Okay, Charlie, pick up your plate at the table. Okay. Thank you. Make sure to wash it. Dump the cheese in the garbage, not in the sink. Conscious parenting, it's not a joke. Hi, Chelly. I much rather have, never mind, I'm not even going to say that. I raised my first 4 children way different than I raised my second group of children. Way different. Let's see. Okay. Yes, this is the true and eternal lesson. Ask all good men who have ever died, even in bitterest failure, whether they would not scorn either to fear or change, and would they not answer with godlike anonymity? Is not the life more than meat, the body than raiment? We sought the struggle, not the victory, the service, not the reward. Though he slays us, yet will we trust him. But we have no fear. He will not slay us. He, the faithful God, who keepeth the covenant, will not fling us aside like broken implements or mock us with delusive hopes. If then we fail at times to see this truth in the little facts of our own lives, let us look beyond them and see it writ large upon the history of nations. What would a man know if the sea by standing but by an hour or 2 beside its waters in some small bay? Could he suppose that there was anything but idle chance in its little eilders or sweeping currents amid the windings of the shore, as it is fretted by chance puffs of wind or sways over great beds of seaweed, or is torn by protruding rocks? But let him study the phenomena of the whole great deep itself, and then he will learn with that magnificent and unerring regularity, the moon sways the tidal march of those mighty waters, which, as they roll onwards, majestic and irresistible, whether in ebb or flow, refresh and purify the world. Nor is it otherwise with history. Ah, do you hear that? What it's saying? Back and forth, just surrender. Surrender to it. Hee John Jones, I love you. Oh, I love the Knights Templars. Stop it. Okay, so peep this. Okay, so I went to Portugal, right? I didn't know. Okay, and we went to stay in Tomar. Okay, so and then before we left to Portugal, I grabbed a couple books and threw them in my bag, right? Like just by chance, because I'm like, okay, well, by chance, I got to read what I got to read. So I was reading the one book on the way to Tomar. And it was talking about the Templar and the chalice and all that kind of stuff and how it's really your body and that the spade upside down, the kundalini, the whole shebanger. And I was like, what the pickle? Spirit is talking to me as we drove to Tamar. Then when we went to Tamar, I learned all about it. And then when we went to the castle, it was epic. And I sat amongst these ginormous oak trees with an orange grove, and I got oranges off the tree and I could eat them like apples. Best moment in my life, I think. The vibes there were epic. I most definitely.
Ladybug on the floor, so I saved it and put it out.
Aww, she saved the
I stepped on that
ladybug.
dirty rug with my bare feet for the little ladybug.
That was nice of
But it
you.
was orange, so I thought it was poisonous, so I made sure to use a paper towel.
Good girl. Those are my kids. Ah, John. How long is a while? Stop it. That's mighty big, Buster. Agreed, funny. But it is from a long time ago. I think it's from like the late 1800s. So people spoke different back then, as you can see as I'm reading it. A physical accident, a criminal ambition, a misinterpreted dispatch, nay, even the changing of a wind, the stumbling of a horse, the depression of an omen may seem to have influenced the fortune of nations. Excuse me. But these are, in reality, but eddies and bubbles on the surface of the advancing or receding tide. Are you listening to this? This is epic. Which means we're going to go back into where Lemuria came. You know what I mean? Those high vibrational age is almost here. Or it is here. We're just creating it now. And if not in our 70 years and 10, yet in the long millenniums of history, we see the great tidal waves of the retribution overwhelming every nation which forgets the eternal distinction of right and wrong, which every true historian has always heard, proclaiming aloud that for every false word and unrighteous deed, for insult and oppression, for lust and vanity, this has to be paid at last. Stop it. Truth and justice alone endure and live. Falsehood and injustice may be long-lived, but doomsday comes to them in the end. I'm excited. That's what we're getting into right now. Yes, every great historian should be no dull registrar of events, but a prophet standing like him of old amid the careless riot, luxurious banquet of life, and teaching men to decipher the palaces must be politically accepted, that what is morally wrong cannot be. Are we listening? Interesting. And I'm doing this, and in doing that, the Hebrew prophets have been our truest teachers, nor have any teachers ever enforced that great lesson which such divine insight with such unalterable certitude, with such passionate intensity as they, around their little insignificant strip of plain, hill, and valley, towered the colossal kingdoms of a cruel and splendid heathendom instead of kingdom. But to their enlightened eyes, these, in their guiltiness, were but phantoms on their way to ruin, casting a weird and somber shadow athwart the sunlit horizons of certain hope. What matter their force, their splendor, their multitude, if they stand before the slow-moving chariot of the eternal God? Is it the Kenite in a rock? Nevertheless, the Kenite shall be wasted. Is it Assyria? The Lord of hosts, shall send among his fat ones leanness and kindle under his glory a burning fire. Egypt? Her wise magicians shall be smitten with fatuity, and the peppers of her rivers fade. Is it golden Babylon, the city of oppressor? No, the city of the oppressor. The dead, moved at his coming, asked her king with gibbering taunts, Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become unto us? Is it purple Tyrus with the priceless merchandise? Take a harp, go about the city, thou harlot. Thou hast been forgotten, and so withal. The nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but God shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. And behold, at eveningtide trouble, and before the morning, this is the portion of them rob us. Thus over the heads of the enemies of Israel did her prophets roll, like a periphegathon of living fire, a periphegathon of living fire, a denunciation of God's wrath on sin. Never had any nation been taught that lesson as Israel had been taught it from the fearful cloakings of maledictions upon Ebal, down to the days when Isaiah wailed his dirge over Ariel, the lion of God, the city where David dwelt. Nor had they been taught by words alone. When Israel was yet a child of God, God loved him, and out of Egypt he called his son. In the Old Testament, we see that son grow up to life. Many were the sins, the follies, the apostasies of his youth. Can you point me to one folly which was not visited with its natural consequences? You reap what you sow. To one pleasant voice which did not become its own punishment, to one sin which was not lashed with its own appropriate scourge. Then came the ruinous and crushing humiliation of the Babylonian captivity. You know, Babylon was really, really epic until the king of Babylon was like, look at everything that I've done. Yeah, look at me. Then God was like, oh, right? That was all you? Sure. Take you down a peg or two. A remnant which they themselves compared, but the chaff of the wheat returned, and the old temptation, the temptation to a sensual idolatry, they were cured forever. Do you hear this? This is glorious. But they were not saved from other sins. Keeping the form of their religion, they lost its spirit. From a living truth, they suffered it to degenerate into meaningless ritual, into a dead formula, into a hypocritical sham. That's what we're facing right now in our quote unquote religious based stuff. And I'm not going to say all of it, a lot of it. God is inside of you and outside of you and in everybody else as well. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Where is the kingdom of heaven? It's inside of you. So when you're out searching for whatever you're searching for outside of yourself, it's what's inside that will heal you. It's what's inside that will guide you. It's what's inside that knows what's really going on. They had for centuries been hoping, dreaming, talking of a Messiah. And their Messiah came. And how did they receive him? They received him with yells of crucify. And there in scripture at the cross which consummated their iniquity, the story of their nation ends. Interesting. They chose wrong. There's a verse in the Bible that I wish I could remember where it's at, but it's the one that talks about all like the crappy things that is going on, like people following the wrong stuff and all of that. And at the end, it says, at the end of the chapter, it says that all things will be so until you say, "Blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord," which means anybody. I am coming to you in the name of the Lord. Do you bless me or do you crucify me? Will we make the right choice this time? I mean, think about it. But history, which proves the responsibility of nations, history adds its chapter to the sacred books. The sacred books are just generations. This over and over and over and over again. It's generations of us, quote unquote, failing to realize what we are. History adds its chapter to the sacred book. It shows how soon the wings of every vulture flapped heavily over the corpse of a nation that had fallen into moral death. Some of those who had shared in that scene, the myriads of their children, shared also in the long horror of that siege, which for its unutterable fearfulness stands unparalleled in the story of mankind. No fear, stop it. They had shouted, "We have no king but Caesar." And they had no king but Caesar, because you get what you give out. We are manifesting this reality. We are the creators. This is an amazing book back from the 1800s, the end of the 1800s, I think. And having only for a time the grotesque phantom of a local royalty, Caesar after Caesar outraged and pillaged them, till at last their Caesar slacked in the blood of his best defenders, the red ashes of their consecrated temple. They had forced the Romans to crucify their Christ, and they were themselves crucified in myriads by the Romans outside their walls, till room failed for the crosses and the wood to make them with. Interesting. Are you hearing what's happening here? Do you hear what's being said? That's why I say you got to read the older books, because the knowledge is lost or erased. They had preferred a murderer to their Messiah, and for them there was no Messiah more. While a murderer's dagger swayed in the last councils of their dying race, they had accepted the guilt of blood, and the last pages of their history were glued together with that crimson stain. And to this day, he who will walk round about Jerusalem sees in its ever-extending miles of gravestones and ever-lengthening pavements of tombs and sepulchres a vivid emblem of that field which Judas bought with the price of his iniquity. That's deep. A potter's field to bury strangers in, and Akeldama, a field of blood. I turn from Judea to the short but splendid tragedy of the Athenian history. How short, how brilliant, how terrible, you all know well. Yes, we owe to Greece an infinite debt of intellectual gratitude. The exquisite ideal of beauty of her race, the grace, the sublimity, the activity of her intellect, the perfection and the supremacy of her art, the power and splendor of her literature, conferred upon her wreath of unfading admiration. Oh, had she but learned righteousness, had she but won the grace to obey, as she had received the insight to read that law written upon the fleshly tablets of her heart. This is freaking mind-blowing, y'all. In the silence, God speaks. You must go into the silence. We're going to make it this time. This time is different. I'm going to get some water. You got to be drinking a lot of water right now because the sun is intense. Put some salts in it too. Not table salt. Celtic or true Himalayan. Oh, had she but learned righteousness, had she but won the grace to obey, as she had received the insight to read the law written upon the fleshly tablets of her heart. But she chose otherwise, and now the world may learn as memorable a lesson from the rapidity of her fall and the utterness of her extinction, as from all besides. For the even needed moral of that little hour in which she played her part upon the lighted stage is this: that intellect without holiness, beauty without purity, eloquence without conscience, art without religion, insight without love are but blossoms whose root and life are in the corruption of the grave. Hi, Jack. All these gifts combined saved not her from being eaten away by that fretting leprosy of her favorite sins, which degraded there's some Greek language, of her youthful glory in the graeculus essuriens of her consuming degradation. With what fearful sternness was the career of Athens cut short. It was.
Mom, what is that on my toe?
Little finger. Looks like a scratchy scratch.
A splinter?
I don't think it would be a splinter on the top of your foot, puppy. It was but 90 years after her handful of heroes had clashed into the countless hosts of Persia and had routed them, and her walls were raised among the songs. Bye, baby.
I'll come back soon.
Yeah, it's almost time for bed. Raised among the songs and shouts of her insulting enemies. Some who had seen the one might have seen the other. And when the hour, oh, that's interesting. You see the fall of Greece and you see, right? And then you see the fall of this one as well. And when the hour of her ruin came, when on that sleepless September night of terror and agony, down the long walls from the Piraeus to the Acropolis rang that bitter, unbroken wail, which told that the fleet of Athens had been destroyed at Ecosopotamia.
Mommy, I didn't take my bath yet.
I think the girls let the water out. Better go look.
Did you tell her?
I think I forgot, honestly. It is one of her own sons who tells us that it was the shameful consciousness of her former tyrannies. It was the avenging memory of Melos.
No.
They didn't?
Mm-mm.
So there's water in there?
No,
They let the water out? Okay, well, we'll take a bath tomorrow then instead, okay? Baby, you don't have time to take a bath right now. It's late. Hey, Emma, what time is it?
We'll take a bath tomorrow.
What time is it? Why are you putting on makeup right now, home skillet?
Because me and Charlie were doing something and I'm invested. It's 7:48.
Yeah, you got about 30 minutes. Hey, that's me. Hello, Emmeline.
I'm watching my mommy's live.
Yeah, you got about 30 minutes.
Ow!
Yeah, if you don't want him to do it, say no, thank you.
No, thank you.
It was the avenging memory of Melos and Tyrone and Sion that made that bitter hour more bitter still, just bidding her Remember that even-handed justice was which in the plenitude of her pride and selfishness she and the unfortunate to drink. Right? We're all one. To rise in the aquarium, everybody's on the same level. Nobody is better than anybody. In the Bible, woe to those with money because they think they're, but if they're not sharing their wealth, that's just not, and they don't have to share their wealth like giving their money. No, they could open their home. They could offer a ride. They could offer socks, anything. It's interesting where we're at in the world right now. Great lesson, doubtless, but the real lesson of Grecian history is deeper, more universal, more permanent than, and surely in days when some men in the worst spirit of the tainted and godless Renaissance of the 15th century are beginning shamelessly to preach corrupt Hellenism. I thought the Hellenistic period was good juju for God. I might be learning something new right now, guys. Shamelessly to preach a corrupt Hellenism, which regards sin, forsooth, with aesthetic toleration. In days, I really remember reading somewhere that our Bible comes from Greek Hellenistic version Bible. I have to do more research because this could be interesting. In days when we have read the thoughts of one calmly arguing an ideal so wretched and so base as that it is best to crowd life with the greatest number of pleasurable sensations, in days has been found for theories of an artistic effeminacy, which one hopes would have made even Antist and Epicurus blush.
Blankets.
Mhm.
It's raining Care Bear.
Do you want to read now? Because I can get off here. Okay.
Go get books for me?
Yep, go get a book. All right, guys. Later.